am on a mission, and my mission is to supply you with new music to check out for the new year. And in this video, what I am going to attempt to do is give you 100 fucking bands that I think you should check out, ranging from across all genres. You are getting everything from death metal to black metal to metalcore to doom metal to stoner to cybergrind and every single thing in between. I have a giant list here, and I think there will definitely be something for everyone up your alley. I'm going to be given little explanations for these bands as well as posting them on screen. God save me when I have to edit this fucking video, and you guys can go look it up on your own time if it interests you. It's going to be a mixture of some bands that you may have heard of and a ton of underground bands that I think are very much worth your time. But considering how fucking insane I am for doing this idea and this project, I really would appreciate it if you could drop a like on this video, comment your favorite bands on this list, or if you're gonna check out any. And feel free to come back if you do end up checking out any of these bands and you end up finding a new one you like. I tried to really cover every single base here. But without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm going to try to not linger on any too long because I don't want this to be 5 hours long. Starting with Pharmacist, an amazing Japanese gore grind band that really incorporates the crushing percussion and the massive production that you might want. Moving on from there, we have Kekt Rock, a one-man black metal project that really does embody the vintage aesthetics of Norwegian black metal, but not in a tacky way or a pretentious way, and it really does flow nicely. Moving on from there, we have Worm, an incredible grindcore band that released one of my favorite grindcore albums of the past 5 years, Colony Collapse. Number 4 is going to be Wilderun. I've never known how to pronounce this band's name. Beautiful atmospheric progressive metal that is definitely worth the time if that is something you are interested in. Coming out of Croatia, we have a debilitatingly, crushingly heavy band with Drop the Hammer, and at number 6 we have Afterbirth, with their record 4-Dimensional Flesh being the one I will put on your guys' radar. If you are interested in slam music and brutal death metal that's taken in more of an experimental direction with some really good production, check this out. Warp Chamber, a really insulated and dense death metal band, and even though this is the only band that isn't metal that's going to be on the list, I have to shout out Old Tower. If you're a fan of dark ambient music and dungeon synth, this is very much a project you need to check out. Number 9 is going to be Smacked Up. Phenomenal deathcore band, released a really great EP that I think a lot of people slept on. Number 10, we got Louching, an underground death metal project that really has that 80s aesthetic, really great production to it. Number 11, for all you wrestling fans, there is a band that literally makes material that is based around that is based around the aesthetic of wrestling, and all of their stuff is based around that. At number 12, we have Cruelty, a towering death metal band with some grindcore influence, very noisy, very distorted. It has a really big production to it, and if you are a fan of the massing, stank face inducing riffs, check them out. If you want a disturbing experimental black metal project, Niche Morte would be up your alley. And at number 14, we have Zombie Shark, a cybergrind project that got my album of the year that he released his material. This is a project that incorporates so many different influences coming out of deathcore, grindcore, cybergrind music, death metal, a little bit of black metal, metalcore. It is really a fun combination of stuff. Moving on from there, we have Nug. Their record Alter Ego, I think, would be a wonderful place to start if you are interested in some very well-textured and pretty progressive metal and progressive rock music. At number 16, Trap Them, a grindcore band that definitely gets slept on, and while they are one of the bigger names of like the 2010s in terms of material, Darker Handcraft, mwah, chef's kiss for grindcore. Number 17, if you want an impenetrable wall of unending, relentlessly bashing death metal music, A Feather and Bone definitely could be up your alley. And if you are a funeral doom metal fan that likes the stylings of Mournful Congregation and Bell Witch, but you want something a little bit more in-depth, the atmosphere of the project Drown and the record Subaqueous would be an amazing place for you to go. An atmospheric funeral doom metal record that embodies the ocean in all of its many vibes, and I think it embodies that theme perfectly. Number 19, Omega Infinity. They reached my end-year list 2 years that they have released music. This is a cosmic-infused black metal band, and if you want to take a trip to the galaxy and back in the vein of black metal, this would be a place to go. At number 20, Aranzi Pazuzu, a psychedelic black metal band, and psychedelic stuff isn't usually incorporated that much in black metal, so it is very unique. And at number 21, we're taking a deep look into the depths of death metal with the sludgy and slum-driven music of Siege Column. I loved this project when it burst on the scene, and I still very much do. I went back to it recently, still fucking slaps, and it has that underbelly feeling. At number 22, my old outro music, if you ever heard the thing that's like, you know, like a lamb to a slaughter, that was Viscera with Lamb to the Slaughter, and I have to shout them out because they were my outro for a very long time. At number 23, we have Atoll, one of the best modern slam metal bands in my personal opinion that balances organic but well-produced production at the same time. At number 24, we have Sayor, a solo folk black metal project that incorporates folk music into black metal in some of the most ingenious and beautifully textured ways that I have ever heard. It is phenomenal. At number 25, if you are interested in some really pretty progressive metal music, Soen is a great band. As well as 26, we have Human Serpent, a dense black metal project that is just this wall of fucking noise. It's a haunting, eerie take on black metal that I like to call asphyxiating. It buries you under rubble and it just doesn't let you come up for air, and it just keeps piling dirt on you. It buries you alive. And at number 27, coming out of Germany, we have The Ruins of Beverist, an experimental metal band that incorporates elements of doom metal, black metal, death metal into this really labyrinth sort of style that has a lot of different moving parts to it. If you're wanting something that doesn't really sound like what you usually get, this is a great project. At number 28, we have Clenching Shadow, a lo-fi black metal project that really does have that low fidelity production style, but in a way that is just ear-shredding, ear-grating, and this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you are a fan of some really raw and primal black metal music that just is dressed to the nines in bad production, this is a great project. At number 29, new metal and alt metal fans do not miss out on Tetrarch, who bring back the sounds of Linkin Park and Seven Dust and incorporate it with like metalcore music and new metal. That is a great place to go. At number 30, we have Cadaveric Incubator. They placed very high on one of my end-year lists. I forget which year that was, but this is a grindcore infused death metal band that has a very pummeling style. At number 31, if you like deep emotion in your black metal and you like the sort of post-black metal style, Perennial Isolation are one of the best to do it. At number 32, stoner and doom metal fans do not sleep on People of the Black Circle. This is one of like the most dark incantation drawing doom and stoner bands that I've ever heard. A band that I've regularly went back to when I've wanted something that is really off the beaten path but still has the trademarks of some classic styles. At number 33, we have Ether Coven with The Relationship Between the Hammer and the Nail as the album I will be giving as the recommendation. Such a cacophonous sound. That is all I'm going to describe to you. It got a perfect score for me the year this record released. I heavily implore you to check it out. And for psychedelic, stoner, and doom metal fans, Conan, great place to go. Definitely check them out. At number 35, if you want experimental metal that is infused with so many different genres and you want a good example of what Japanese metal can really do, Deer and Grey are a fantastic experimental metal band with one of the best vocalists in metal, and I stand by that. Kyo. At number 36, if you want something that is very infused with post-metal and post-rock but has sort of a metalcore tinge but is very dreamy and luminescent, check out Strawberry Hotel. If you also like LGBT-fronted bands, the creator of that project is a trans woman. 37, we have Primitive Man. The endless swamp trudge of Primitive Man cannot be undersold, and if you want a record to check out Caustic. At number 38, we have Sayer, I believe is how you pronounce this. Really good progressive metal, really solid, nothing to write home about, but something that progressive metal fans I think slept on when they burst on the scene. At number 39, if you want some very high energy, high octane metalcore music but has that melodic edge and isn't too beatdown centric, Indie Ghost is just a really great vibe. At number 40, hardcore punk fans that like that being infused with metal, Gulch are one of the most throat punching bands to come out of that niche. 41, I'm going with Swain. Grunge fans and people that like alternative rock and metal, you are going to feel like the embodiment of Kurt Cobain and Chris Cornell came back in a band and created Swain. At number 42, if you want like Archspire sort of tech death that is tapping and endless but still surprisingly intelligible with a really tightly engineered production style, Symbolic with their record Emergence is a fantastic place. 43, and I've never known how to pronounce this band's name, Svaply is epic theatrical death metal that I was really blown away by, really just harmonious but still has that buzzsaw to it. At number 44, speaking of theatrical, if you want black metal to be very melodramatic and over the top, or if you're a fan of the black metal band Summoning, go check out Caladan Brood. At number 45, we have Hellfra with a very unique take on black metal, sort of this endless maze of very interesting ideas with riffs without straying too far and becoming too experimental that it's like unlistenable. At 46, we have TRRRHT, Indonesian death metal that is just caked in mud and sludge, but has a really great Asian sort of sound to it from that side of the world. I swear to God, like anytime Indonesia or Malaysia or Singapore or India come out with like black metal or grindcore music or death metal, it's just so firework infused. Go check out Awaken the Ancients by Hatred Reigns if you want some great tech death music. At 48, a newer project to burst on the scene, Native Americanism gets infused with black metal with Black Braid. Fucking love this project. Sludge metal and stoner metal fans, don't miss out on Acid Mammoth if you want something that is just very much a vibe in that sort of sleep brand of stoner music. At number 50, we have Serpent Column with a very noisy and sort of like industrialized version of black metal, but not industrialized in like the mechanical way. Industrialized in the sense of it feels like 50,000 skyscrapers coming down on you. At number 51, we have Voracious with this hardcore punk being infused with death metal music, or at least the energy of the sort of crusty side of punk music and hardcore punk music. And now we are going into a little bit of a grindcore section with some bands that have ties to each other. So 52, Discordance Axis, potentially one of the best grindcore bands to ever do it, inspired so many people. The Inalienable Dreamless, fantastic project. Going on from there, we have 53, Gridlink, and as well as 54, Takafumi Matsubara, who has ties to the grindcore scene and made a fantastic solo record. And then finally, a sort of revival of Discordance Axis that came out a couple of years back, No One Knows What the Dead Thing. If you want some shrieking, high-intensity, very 2000s grindcore music that inspired so much more, any of those bands or projects would be a great place to go. 56, Sedimentum. You want some great death metal that's infused with doom metal, check these guys out. 57, Oh Sleeper. Metalcore fans really do, pun unintended, sleep on these guys a lot, and while they do some numbers, I think in the grand scheme of what bands I hear get brought up a lot, I don't think that they particularly get the praise or hype that they deserve. Speaking of metalcore bands that don't get the hype they deserve, Ringworm at 58 are one of the progenitors of metalcore that a lot of people don't really know exist. They were hardcore punk at their start, and then they slowly but surely developed, in many ways, what is now known as metalcore, being one of the first to do it. So if you want some experimental gore grind music and some grindcore music, Ovary Rot, fantastic. Going back to post-black metal for a moment, specifically with the record Adore, Numenorian will bring something out of you. They will take you on a trip of emotional resonance, and it's hard to listen to an album from them or a project from them and not feel some sort of deep intrinsic emotion. At number 61, if you want violin infused with metalcore music and post-hardcore music with one of the best vocalists in the game, check out Imminence. If you want progressive metalcore and djent music that is put together in a very efficient, technologically proficient way, check out Within the Ruins. They are one of my favorites to do it and have an amazingly unique style for the genre. For progressive metal fans, Caligula's Horse makes some of the most beautifully atmospheric music that you'll hear on the block. If you want to see where a lot of bands got their ideas for slam metal nowadays, at number 64 we have Abominable Putridity, a Russian slam metal band that really did popularize in many ways the tin can snare sort of slam death metal style. At number 65, if you are a fan of Cattle Decapitation or the vocals of Travis Ryan, check out Murder Construct, an extreme metal band that he actually did vocals for that a lot of people don't know. Coming out of Japan, at number 66, we have Jigokuen. This was my top placing band of 2023 in terms of albums. This is grindcore and death metal with a very primal style coming out of Japan with a lot of the Japanese aggression of noise and distortion and that approach. At number 67, if you want a harsh version of deathcore music that pounds you away with, in my opinion, some of the best percussion, check out Mental Cruelty. Count Blagrath actually likes this project, and he doesn't like death deathcore, so that should tell you something. At number 68, All That Remains. Similar to Oh Sleeper, I think that metalcore music was in many ways influenced by All That Remains, and a lot of bands took a lot from them. At number 69, the funny number, we got Desinsertion. Brutal death metal fans, do not sleep on this project. This was a project that really stuck with me the year that it kind of just came out of the fucking blue, and it was one of those bands that for whatever reason, it just stuck with me. If you want a band that is going to be like nothing else you hear in the avant-garde way, check out Spire, specifically the record Temple of Kronos. At number 71, one of the best vocalists in the game come out of Holding Absence, a post-metal and post-rock, metalcore, post-hardcore band, whatever you want to label them as. Really beautiful instrumentation, fantastic vocalizations. At number 72, we have another metalcore band that I think a lot of people sleep on, Misery Signals, sort of a melodic metalcore, hardcore band. At number 73, coming out of Russia, y'all should be like wise to the fact that Russia comes out with some of the most diverse and dynamic black metal, but specifically them and Finland are great at making atmospheric black metal, and Alhalva, specifically the record Frozen Bloom, topped my end-year list the year it came out, and I think a lot of people would get a lot out of it. At number 74, we have Pissgrave, a project I really don't want to explain. I want it to just be a surprise if you haven't heard of them, but just be ready to just sit there thinking it's one of the worst things that are produced that you have ever heard, but you won't be able to get enough of it. At number 75, we have Legion of the Damned, an amazing black and thrash metal band, one of the best to do it in the modern sphere. At number 76, Joluka, coming out of Japan, incorporating dubstep and electronic music into metalcore. They're basically an electronicore band. Get on board because they are fucking blowing the fuck up. At number 77, See You Space Cowboy, one of my favorite bands. They're a very politically charged, LGBT-friendly band that does sasscore, screamo, post-hardcore in a really powerful way. I love the way that they bring back the 2000 style while bringing it into the mainstream. At number 78, if you want some really harsh sounding black metal music that is still well produced enough to be tangible and understandable, check out Spectral Wound. At number 79, for fans of instrumental progressive music, Animals as Leaders, or like a progressive rock band like Chon, check out Four Giants. At number 80, a multilingual band that is one of the best to do it in grindcore, and death grind specifically, Benighted. At number 81, one of the progenitors of so many bands and one of the most influential bands in metal when it comes to noise and distortion, the drone metal band Sun. At number 82, if you are a fan of mathcore and you want it to be infused with djent music, Car Bomb is a project that I definitely think is worth checking out. And for deathcore fans, do not miss out on Angel Maker. At number 84, I don't know if you could call this metal, but I think this band has more metal tendencies in terms of their energy than most metal bands, so fucking sue me. Go check out Hell Young for one of the most spiritual experiences you'll ever have. At number 85, if you want an endless assault of grindcore music and war metal, check out Revenge. At number 86, KO Dot, an avant-garde progressive metal band fronted by Toby Driver, who also has ties to the project Modeling of the Well. Very experimental progressive metal music, but also very pretty and very tangible. At 87, I'm gonna throw Nothing Nowhere on here. Made an incredible excursion into like metalcore music and post-hardcore with a ton of great features on Void Eternal, and I even think his back catalog a lot of metal fans could get a lot out of. Speaking of metalcore bands, I think when they came on the scene, a lot of people slept on Glass Crown, would really shout those guys out. At 89, if you want gritty, buzzsaw-infused death metal music, Caustic Wound. At number 90, if you want death metal music that is so hard to describe to anyone that tries to, check out Ulcerate. You might like them. At number 91, one of the best and greatest electro grind and cyber grind bands, The Berserker, definitely worth your time. At number 92, if you want something theatrical and melodramatic in sort of a lot of different genres, check out Flesh God Apocalypse. At 93, if you want to see soul music and a lot of influences coming from African American music and African ethnic music infused with black metal, check out Zeal and Ardor. At number 94, Scary Kids Scaring Kids is very much slept on in terms of the cringy post-hardcore metalcore days. Come after me and fucking sue me. At 95, one of the best post-hardcore and metalcore bands that have ever existed, and a lot of people know it, but I think a lot of people in the modern sphere don't know them, Fugazi. At number 96, Erroneous, a really technically proficient progressive metal project. Perspicacity is the record that I would suggest from them. At 97, if you want atmospheric metalcore and djent music and just some of the most beautiful instrumentation, if it's a genre you don't particularly like, give Invent Animate a try. At number 98, we have Coffins, a doomy death metal band that deserves the fucking world. At number 99, a metalcore band that has one of the best fan bases one of the most beautiful stories and writes some of the most heartwarming material, The Ghost Inside. And then number 100, and I think this is probably like the most underground band I wanted to include at like 100, there's this band called Metallica that I think a lot of people slept on ever since their formation, and I think they have one of the better vocalists in like thrash metal. It's up to you if you feel like James Hetfield is good or not. I just put his name in your head so you now know the lead vocalist's name, and there's this guy called like Lars Ulrich in it as well. They're sort of this thrash metal band, and they kind of have an up and down discography, so go into it kind of being a little ready to kind of hear stuff that you may like, you may not. They changed their style a little bit, got a little more commercially viable, but the start of their music, I guess it's okay thrash metal, and they released this really small record called The Black that I don't think many people heard, so I would suggest that one if that's something you'd be interested in. I would probably stray away from something like Saint Anger. It's kind of mixed results, but there's not enough reviews on it yet to really be conclusive of that, so maybe you would like it, but I can't keep this fucking joke up any longer. I am so tired. Definitely let me know down below if you check out any of these bands and if you enjoy any of them or if they're some of your favorites already. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And feel free to throw in some of your own suggestions while you're at it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.